Princeton University Press Audio presents How Progress Ends, Technology, Innovation, and the Fate of Nations by Benedikt Frey, read by Richard Lyddon. For Anne-Marie, with eternal love, and for Victoria and Emmanuel, for making me feel reborn. Preface. Planning and Progress. I have been over into the future, and it works. Those words, penned by journalist Lincoln Steffens, shortly after accompanying an American delegation to meet Lenin in 1919, seemed almost prophetic in 1957, when the Soviet Union launched the world's first satellite, Sputnik 1, into orbit. This milestone, along with Soviet cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin becoming the first human to journey into outer space just 4 years later, took the entire world by surprise. Uncomfortable questions arose as many in the First World began to wonder if Steffens was right. Had the Soviets devised a superior recipe for progress after all? This self-doubt came amid a long-standing scholarly debate on the viability of centrally planned economies, an argument that had raged since the 1920s between Austrian school economists like Ludwig von Mises and Friedrich von Hayek, who cast doubt on the efficiency of planned economies, and post-Keynesian and neo-Marxian economists like Oskar Lange and Abba Lerner, who proposed that a central planning board could indeed effectively simulate market dynamics. The extraordinary leap of the Soviet economy appeared to vindicate Lange and Lerner's views. In the 1961 version of his economics textbook, Paul Samuelson, a Nobel laureate, and one of the most influential economists of his time, even projected that the Soviet Union's national income might surpass that of the United States as early as 1984, but more likely by 1997. And Lange, emboldened by recent advances in computing, doubled down in 1967 on his predictions about the superiority of central planning. Let us put the simultaneous equations on an electronic computer and we shall obtain the solution in less than a second. The market process, with its cumbersome tâtonnement, appears old-fashioned. Indeed, it may be considered as a computing device of the pre-electronic age. Not only was the Soviet Union racing ahead of the United States in technology, or so it seemed, but technological progress itself appeared to bolster the case for the Soviet planning model. In retrospect, it is ironic that the Soviet Union collapsed just as the computer era dawned. Despite being well aware of the wonders of Silicon Valley, the Soviets failed to replicate it, and not for want of trying. After a visit to Leningrad's Special Design Bureau of the electronics industry in 1962, Premier Nikita Khrushchev prioritized the development of computers, which he declared to be our future. In fact, Alexander Shokin, the bureaucrat running the industry, soon convinced Khrushchev to build an entire new cluster devoted to churning out semiconductors. The city of Zelenograd, conceived as the perfect scientific settlement, a less sunny Silicon Valley, was the result. But while the new cluster was home to some of the world's finest scientists, the institutions underpinning it could not have been more different from those of California. Whereas the Valley's inventors job-hopped from one startup to another, establishing a series of concurrent experiments, Zelenograd's efforts were orchestrated entirely from Shokin's ministerial desk in Moscow. With the State Planning Committee sitting on top of 7 industrial complexes, managing some 12 million planning indicators, the Soviet economy functioned much like the giant, top-down, pre-programmed computers it was trying to build. One paradoxical result of the computer revolution is that it complicated planning. As Hayek had recognized, the planning challenge was not so much in calculating or computing the answers to a set of equations with known data, but generating that data, much of which is tacit and hard to codify in the first place. The Planning Committee and industrial ministries depended on accurate information to function. For standardized operations, this presented no serious
Sample complete. Ready to continue?